This week, we discuss one of the many all too common challenges unique to dating in the 21st century. And later, is it simple pettiness, old school jealousy, or a much deeper problem that prompted a listener to ask for our advice? You'll have to decide for yourself. Welcome to the talking phase. Hello and welcome to the Talking Phase podcast. My name is Tom and I'm joined by my favorite co-host of all time, Pam.
And I guess I'm not your only co-host, but I am so glad to be your co-host for this show, Tom.
Oh, I am so glad to have you. I'm glad we connected for this show. This is amazing. What's been happening to you? What's been going on?
What's been happening to me? Is that what you just asked? Well, you just left town. What's been happening to me? Tom came to town, made a quick trip over to Raleigh.
That's trip number 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it is trip number 4. And
people are going to start to talk.
We had a lot of time to discuss this podcast and future episodes and get to know each other better. And of course, we went to Tom's favorite place for ice cream, and we'll have to document that and get that up on TikTok so people can see you again eating ice cream.
Yes.
And we had some pretty nice weather while you were here. What'd you say?
People care about that for some reason.
Well, I think they just like to see you in your this isn't your natural habitat, but they like to see you in a natural habitat.
That's true.
I like to see you in a natural habitat. I enjoy when you come to visit.
Yeah, I have a great time whenever I'm out there. It's fun to hang out with you.
My kids even kind of think you're okay. So that's good. Yeah.
That's a crazy thing.
Yeah, it really is a crazy thing that they like you. They ask when you're coming back. When's Tom coming back?
Oh, well, that's cool.
So maybe we'll have you back again in the not too distant future. Well, what's going on with you?
With me?
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on now that you're back in beautiful Atlanta?
Well, Brian and I are all set for a trade show next week. I'm driving up to Nashville, and Brian is driving down from Indianapolis. So it's about 5 hours for each of us. Is that about right? I think so.
Speaking of Brian, I almost forgot to introduce him. Not that anybody needs an introduction to Brian, because if you follow our podcast, Brian is not really a man of few words, but his words are always right on point. And he's a very, very wise man. Brian, are you with us today?
I'm a very, very wise man. I'll make sure I clip that and share that with my wife. Doing well, Pam, Tom, looking forward to seeing you. I know I'm all geared up. Yeah, 5 hours ballpark as we drive to Nashville. So no, it's good. I'm really glad that we're in this post-COVID world where we can actually get together again and just hang out IRL. It feels so much nicer to not be stuck behind a screen, or in this case, faceless behind a microphone. But looking forward to today's episode.
Well, we'll have to have Tom snap some pictures of the two of you, and we'll put those up on TikTok for people who want to see who is this Brian guy. And your guys are going to Nashville, which makes me very jealous since we were just there a couple weeks ago. And what a party town.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think Brian and I will be spending 18 hours a day working and hanging out with thousands of our closest personal friends at this trade show. So I don't think we're going to be able to get to all the bars and everything that you and Nikki did.
No, but you'll be staying in the nicest hotel we saw while we were there. We took a tour of your hotel, the Opryland, which is amazing, like nothing I've ever seen. So I'm a little jealous. I don't know that I would have traded in the bar life for Opryland, but I would have liked to sleep there.
Yeah, let me tell you, I'm going to have Brian tell a quick story. So Brian and I are both staying at the Opryland, as you just pointed out, and we're going to this show. And if anybody's ever been to a trade show as a vendor or as an exhibitor or as a guest, you usually can get a better deal at the hotel that's hosting the event if you use their code or whatever. So, as soon as we decided to do this trade show, I went onto the website. I reserved the 3 nights or 4 nights. I can't remember how many it is. And it was a great rate. And Brian, I don't know, it was just 2 days later or something like that.
Not even.
Yeah. What happened on yours?
Literally the next day, I went to go and order my reservation, and I go onto the website, and it says that nothing was available. I'm like, that can't be right. There's absolutely no way. Tom literally just sent this to me yesterday. Like they must have something. So I call to figure out, and after 30 to 45 minutes on the phone with their customer support person, I come to find out that the middle day, the Wednesday, is completely booked because some folks just fly in for one night. So Wednesday was completely booked for the room rate that they had for the conference. So I could only get the room rate with the conference on Tuesday and Thursday night, meaning I had to pay full price for Wednesday night. And let's just say the full price definitely represents why it is the nicest hotel that Pam saw in Nashville.
Yeah.
It was about $700 for one night.
My God.
Yes.
We paid
Was it
$60
really?
to go on a
It was
boat ride.
$684
Oh
for
my
one
God.
night.
Oh, and by the way,
I
our
would have stayed
conference
somewhere
rate.
else.
Well, our conference rate was $245.
Yeah.
Oh, but $600. That's more than
Holy
I've
shit!
ever paid.
Yeah,
We're staying
we
at a
should-
hotel that looks at the Eiffel Tower for less than $600.
Well, this is the first time I've ever hoped that someone is not listening to this show, and I hope our finance team is not listening to this episode.
Me too, please.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. Cut
Well,
that.
I'll tell you what. I think that's a great idea. We'll take some pictures while we're there, and then maybe we'll make Brian like Wilson from the Toolman Taylor, whatever that show was, and just put gray
Just
him out.
show my top half of my face.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you boys behave and have a great time in Nashville. For $700 a night, they should be massaging your feet.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I saved it by we're driving out there, so I ended up saving money by not getting a flight. I rented a car, so I bet it evens out.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think we'll be
have a
okay.
great time while you're there.
Yeah, we should have a good time. And what's funny about it is that Brian and I have only met a couple of times in person. We've become really good friends through Zoom calls and everything else, but we've only met a couple of times. Pam, you and I have met in person more than Brian and I.
I was just thinking in my head, I bet I know Tom better than Brian, and you guys work together, but we sort of work together.
Yeah.
And we play a little together. So
Yeah. Ice cream,
ice cream.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm excited. I think it's time to get into what we're planning to talk about today. And I am so excited. I'm not even going to tease our main topic. I'm not even going to do like I normally do.
You want to just dive right in?
Yeah, because whether you're single, whether you're happily married, whether you're in the process of getting divorced, it doesn't even matter. This conversation is important. And then, of course, after that, Pam, you've got an amazing email after reading through the going through the pile of mail. I guess
it's a good one.
piles.
Yeah, I enjoyed it and chose it. So,
but this one, by the way, everybody knows, when Pam receives an email, she'll pick, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them, and she'll send them to me. We'll go through them and decide which one is the one that we want to share this week. And I only have one question about this week's email, Pam, and that is, well, I'm going to have several questions, but why do people have to be so fucking stupid?
Oh, well, isn't that the age-old question?
Man, I kind of got pissed off reading, when I read this email. So I'm excited to hear what you think about it. So, all right. So let's jump into our non-email topic first.
Okay. Sounds great.
Like I said, everybody should be interested in this. Did you say wait?
I said, I can't wait.
Okay, got it. I'm like, oh, what am I waiting for?
Nope.
So today we are going to talk about dating apps. Now, that's a huge topic. It is a gigantic topic, and we're probably going to have several shows talking about the different parts of dating apps and stuff like that. So we're
under the umbrella.
Yes. But we're not going to talk about the umbrella of the dating apps today. We're going to not in a general sense. We're going to talk about one of the problems. And by the way, holy crap, there are a lot of problems with dating apps.
Ain't that the truth?
We could do a year's worth of shows just talking about the problems created by dating apps. So I wanted to, but there's one in particular that I think we should talk about today, and that is a challenge that is created specifically by dating apps. Dating is hard. I mean, even before, back in the 80s and 90s, dating was not an easy thing. You had to have, you finding somebody to date was hard and all that. I mean, dating has always been an emotional roller coaster and all that. But
For sure.
dating apps have created what I call the paralysis of choice. It's basically, and I know that I didn't invent that, but I'm using it.
It's a good one for dating apps, I'll tell you that.
Yes, but it is a problem that has been created by dating apps. Prior to dating apps, I don't think there was ever a man, and probably not a woman alive. Well, maybe there were some women alive, but there's probably not a man alive who said there are just too many fucking choices.
Yeah. No, or a man who, let's not put this on men. There wasn't a man or a woman who went on a really, really good first date and then came home to swipe on a dating app to see who else they could take on a first date.
That's true.
I mean, we live in an era where dating apps have only added to the problem of finding somebody to have a relationship with. I was talking to you the other day and I was saying back in the 80s and the 90s, we would go out. We would go to parties. We would go to social events. We would go to bars. We would go everywhere and anywhere. And everywhere you looked, there was a prospective single person that looked good from afar that you thought to yourself, hey, I'm going to buy them a drink. I'm going to go strike up a conversation. And it took a lot of nerve to get up the courage to walk over to a stranger and do that. And once you worked up that courage and spent, let's say, an hour or two getting to know them and finally asking for their phone number, and he or she, mostly she, is at home waiting for you to call and hoping that you call and it wasn't just a one-time meet. And then you get that call and you have that phone conversation and you go on that first date. And the first date goes great. You have a really, 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 really good time. And both parties are thinking, I really want to see this person again. This is somebody that I can imagine having a relationship with, getting to know, maybe marrying someday. We used to think that almost right out of the gate on a first date, just what the appeal was of that person. And now, instead of all of that buildup, we sit at home or we sit at a doctor's office or wherever we are and we take out our phone and swipe, swipe, swipe. And, somebody looks good, but they don't sound good or they don't have a good enough job or they're not the right height or whatever your list is of things that you're looking for and things that you're not looking for. And it takes 2 minutes to swipe, to match, to start a conversation, and to engage. There's no buildup anymore.
Right. I call that the brass balls theory, because prior to dating apps, you see that person, as you said, who looked good from afar, but made me smile because the other saying that says, "Oh, she looked good from afar, but far from good."
Right.
But so you look across the bar or whatever, you see that person, and to walk up and talk to that person, man, you had to grow a pair of brass balls.
100%. You could stare for the whole night at each other, and it still took an hour or two.
Absolutely, or more. Some of us are real shy.
Aww.
But let's say it's a male going up to a female. I was going to say boy versus girl, but man versus woman. Anyway, man goes up to a woman at the bar. He's grown a pair of brass balls to go up and talk to her. She has to grow a pair of brass balls to say, yeah, I'll talk to you. And here's my phone number. And again, this is back in the 80s before we had dating apps and all that kind of stuff. And back then, remember, she'd give you her address. I mean, the standard was that you'd go pick her up for your first date. So
yeah, that's 100% true. Honestly, I think I might have had a couple of guys back in the 80s drive me home from a bar once we met. Like, we just had a lot of trust back then. It feels pretty stupid right now.
Yeah, it does. But every one of those steps along the way,
right?
You had your brass balls had to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I call it the brass balls theory, because you're so invested in that relationship before your first date.
Right. You're right. You're excited. Like, Do you remember what it was like to get excited to go on a first date? Because I'll
Yes.
tell you, for me, and in the world of dating apps, I cannot remember matching with somebody, going through the talking phase, making that first date, and getting ready for that first date thinking, I can't wait to meet this person. That it doesn't happen anymore. Now it's just, oh my God, I hope this person resembles their pictures. I hope this person can speak as well as they can text. I hope this person is really my height. I'm 5'11". Every single person that says they're 5'11" or 6 feet or 6'1" is about 5'9" from my experience. So like all I feel is dread leading up to a first date with somebody on a dating app.
I'm 5'11" and a 3/4, by the way.
Maybe. I'll have to measure you next time you're here.
Okay, we'll have to do that. We'll have to do like a, stand back to back and take a picture or something.
Okay. We'll have Nikki do it. I look forward to it.
Okay. So I think there's also, so when we talk about this paralysis of choice, we're talking about, I think that I met this woman in Salt Lake very shortly after my separation. And we became friends. We'd see each other around, and I don't even know if you want to call what we did a date. We just kind of met for brunch or something like that.
Right.
And it was like I was so brand new to dating apps, and she's the one who told me that she said men, and I'm assuming women the same way, but I'm just telling you the story she told me. She said that a lot of men have total FOMO, their fear of missing out. And so they're unwilling to make a commitment to the person they're with, even if they like them.
Right.
Because there might be somebody, one of my favorite movies of all time is Summer School, an old Mark Harmon movie. And he was breaking up with a girlfriend, and he said, look, you know how when you're out surfing and you see a perfect wave and you want to catch that perfect wave, but then you think, wait, maybe there's a more perfect wave right after it.
It's a great,
And that's the same thing with, I think, dating apps is that, okay, I found this really awesome lady. She just went to the bathroom while we're at dinner. So let me pull out my phone and check to see if there's somebody else.
And they're getting I've seen people get notifications while we're on a first date, and then they'll like flip their phone over. I agree with you wholeheartly. I hate to say it. I do think based on my friend group and the people that I know, and most of my friends are female, I find that it is mostly men who have not ever experienced such a plethora of women. And what's so funny about that to me is that they can be looking at hundreds of women and they can want to date women that might be more attractive than the woman that they're currently on a date with. But is that realistic? Like, just because a man has the option of looking, it's like being at that bar again and you're a 6 and you look across the bar and you see a woman and she's a 10, like she is perfect. And so you send her a drink and she lifts the drink and she thanks you, but she doesn't make it at all seem like she wants you to come over and talk to her. And if you do come over and talk to her, there's a pretty good chance that she thanks you for the drink and tells you she's waiting for her boyfriend. And now all of these men are on these dating apps and they're getting dates. They're going on dates. But for whatever reason, they are positive that there are hotter, smarter, more appealing women just waiting for them in their phone. And I don't think so.
Yeah, they're just dying to get swiped upon.
Right.
Hey, can I ask you a question? As someone who grew up Mormon and literally never went into a bar and has never met anyone at a bar.
Okay.
I buy a drink for someone and send it over. And you just said somehow she indicates that she wants to talk. How does she indicate? I'm seriously curious now. So pretend that you've got a glass sitting there.
I do.
So you've just received this drink from the bartender or whatever, right?
Thank you so much.
Now you look over at me. I sent you that drink. And how do you tell me you want to talk to me?
Eye contact.
You can look at me?
Well, I mean,
or what?
Well, I can't even say it's been that long. I've been going to bars for the last year with friends. I find that the way that I let a man know that it's okay to come over and talk to me as I look at him. And I look at him for more than the second that it takes to thank him for a drink. Extended eye contact for me has always been enough to let a man know It is safe to
Approach.
yeah, God, I couldn't get that word. Safe to approach. If it's a man that I don't want to approach and he has sent me a drink, I will say thank you and I will turn my chair and continue my conversation with my friends.
You'll turn your you okay, so
Well,
you look at him and say thank you,
I
or
always say thank you. I mean, like, there's no reason to there's no
okay.
reason to not be polite. So I
So you're
will
not doing
thank
the huck twa in his drink or anything?
no, oh, Tom, no. No. I am drinking his drink. It's been sent over. The person brings it over, and then the woman decides whether she wants to maintain eye contact with that man, or I have friends that will literally wave the man over. I have had multiple men come over to our group and sit down with one of my friends and have a conversation that may or may not have gone anywhere, but things have not changed that much now if you're willing to put your phone down and leave your house. Um, there are things that you can still do to meet people organically. And I highly recommend it because those meetings generally tend to manifest into a phone number and a date like they did in the 80s and the 90s, a lot easier than the talking phase on a dating app.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I just did never have the bar experience as a recovering Mormon.
And
That's
honestly, I feel kind of bad about that. I feel like it's a rite of passage to have been able to go out and meet people organically, and there was no other choice.
yeah, no, I think so too. Now I met people organically, just not in a
That's
bar.
true. Right.
Yeah.
Well, bars, a little lubrication helps you lower your inhibitions. It helps men buy you a drink or come over and talk to you, and it helps us to talk to men.
I will say this, and I think I've told you this story. I have actually met one person in a bar, and it's because a buddy dragged me to a place in Panama City Beach called No Name Lounge. They had on the first Tuesday of the month or some shit like that. They had singles night, and he goes, "Come on, dude, let's go." And so we went to singles night, and they gave us a solo cup, and red was I'm taken, blue cups were it's complicated, and yellow cups were I'm single.
Wow.
And I might have screwed up the colors, but I know yellow was single because
I've
they
heard
gave
of
me
stuff like that.
and it was so they gave me a single cup, and I knew any other dork walking around with a single with a yellow cup. I'm like, oh, okay, I can talk to that person. But even then, I was terrified to walk up to this woman, and I go to my buddy because I remember I've never done this before. I said, James, what do you say? How do you even approach somebody in a bar, even though she's holding a fucking yellow cup? And he goes,
Advertising. She's advertising that she's single. Please
yeah,
talk to me is written on her forehead.
exactly. And I'm holding the yellow cup, which says, hey, please talk to me too. But I'm like, what the hell do you even say? And he took me by the shoulders and he goes, Tom, you are Tom fucking Milligan. Go talk to her.
I love that.
And I'm like, that wasn't helpful.
Oh.
Anyway, we did go out one, or actually, I think we went out twice, but so that was nice.
So you got a little taste of what it was like back in the 80s and the 90s, and it has just gone away.
Yeah, it
People,
really has.
I see people at the bar on their phones swiping on dating apps. And I'm not going to lie, like I have sat with all of my friends at a table at a bar, and we have in the past traded phones. Like I have given my phone to a friend and let her swipe for me because I feel like maybe I'm looking too hard or not doing it the right way. And the next day you wake up and you're like, you have 2 or 3 matches and they are not men that you would have swiped right on. So your friend did it for you because her taste and your taste is completely different. And women, we are just as guilty as men of enjoying people shopping. We do it, like we'll go on a date and it's a good date or a decent date, but it's not the best date. So maybe the best date still lives in my phone.
Well, I will tell you right now, there is not enough money on earth for me to hand my phone to a buddy and say, here, swipe on women for me.
Very wise, Tom.
Maybe women are just nicer to each other, but dudes.
I'm going to say no, based on the selections that were made
Okay.
for me. There was one that I remember saying to her, thank you for this one, but the rest, like, come on, he's 5'6". Like, give me a break. We're all drinking and having a good time. It's all in good fun. And dating apps in the beginning, 4 or 5 years ago, were a blast. You sign on to a dating app, you're recently single, you're new to the dating app, so you get pushed out to all of the guys at one time. You wake up in the morning, and I think the first morning I might have had 600 or 700 likes on the dating app that I had chosen. And you're like, oh my God, my next boyfriend lives here. I'm going to go find him. And you know what? It shit rolls downhill. It was not a good experience. I can honestly say I've had very few good experiences that started on a dating app.
Yeah.
And some of that's my fault.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's unfortunately 99% of the stories. I know that there are success stories. Your daughter's a success story.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Whatever. Brian, what are your thoughts on this?
I have thoughts, namely because my wife and I met back in college, and this was well before the dating app world started to take over. And I had an employee, and this is kind of my only real experience with dating apps. I guess it's adjacent, right? And this one employee, he was in his early 20s at the time when he was working for me. Tom, he was an SDR at my old company, and we were like really, really close. And he and I were working on this for a while. Like, he was basically addicted to Tinder, and I'm not kidding. So the kid used Tinder so much that he would run out of swipes. And he had an alarm clock reminder set on his phone every 12 hours for when he would get new swipes put into his account. And I'm not kidding, when it would go off, and actually I remember this this one instance is clear as day. It was our holiday party at the end of the year, and his alarm went off. He pulled his phone out, and within probably 45 seconds, he had swiped through all of his swipes, just left, right, without even a second thought, second glance. And he just went through it and then put his phone away like there was no tomorrow, like he didn't do anything. And it caught me so off guard, and it kind of hit me where I think there's a big generational gap when it comes to how these dating apps are leveraged. Yeah. A lot of I'll say the older generation, your older millennials, Gen X, and hey, even into the boomer generation who use these apps, they're using the apps to find a relationship. But the younger millennials, the Gen Zers, and I hope not the Gen Alphas, because they're like literal children. But like, they're using it more for hookup culture. Like, that seems to be the entire approach to these apps. It's not to find the one, it's to find tonight's one. And that right there, I think, is why I'm just so thankful that I'm not in an era where I have to even imagine using those apps to find love, because just my adjacent experience through my old coworker, or my old employee rather, it just kind of it hit my stomach. It really did. Like, it made me sad to think that that's how he was trying to find the one, or just a one. And you know what? Hey, there is a happy ending to the story. He did end up finding a very, very wonderful girl in real life, right? And very much to your guys' story, it was at a bar, and he told me, he's like, you know what? There's just something I couldn't get from the app when I saw her in real life. Yeah. And that right there, I think, is why it is so important to get off the phone and get into real life situations with real life people, because you're gonna, I mean, you can't put real life into words, the value that comes from that.
And I'm gonna totally disagree with Brian when he was talking about Gen Xers or even boomers. I'm gonna tell you that those generations are also into hookup culture, because a lot of the men, and I'm sure women, that are on the dating apps are coming out of marriages, and they are divorced, and they are horny, not looking for another relationship, and they are swiping for sex too.
Yeah, it does. It happens more often than I think we all know.
The dating apps are shit for everybody. I use them. I'm not a hypocrite. I use them every time I would pause when I was burnt out. After a few months, I would unpause, and I would be like, you know what? I'm going to do something differently. I'm going to change something on my dating profile. I'm going to swipe right on more more men than I have been used to. But I am guilty also of running out of bees, which is what it's called on Bumble. When you are swiping and you are out of men to look at, you are out of bees. And I have been out of bees on multiple occasions because I am too picky.
Well, I don't.
If there's such a thing. And I have also met somebody, but not on a dating app organically.
Right.
So I just think the dating apps, we are all learning some hard lessons about people shopping.
Yeah, I will tell this to close this subject out. I want to tell you, we talked about this as the paralysis of choice. I think that it's a more accurate statement to call it a facade of choice.
Yes.
Because I just don't think that, and maybe paralysis is equally, maybe that's a good term too, but there's not a lot of choice. And because like Brian's friend, and you just said you run out of bees, Brian's buddy runs out of Tinder swipes. I mean, it's a facade. And by the way, my dating apps have been paused for quite a while, and I still get emails from Match or whatever it is, like once or twice a week saying, hey, there's this many people interested in you. And it's like, how the hell are they interested in me? My profile is dead, or it should be. But I think that half of the profiles that you see on those dating apps are dead or old or whatever, because I haven't touched Match in 7-8 months.
Right.
And so, but people are
and
still
I've
swiping on you.
unsubscribed to Match. I get those emails. I have unsubscribed every time and they still send them. So they're just dragging people back onto the apps, and people are so disgusted or just so desperate to find a partner that we just get the email and we're like, oh, let me go take a look. It'll probably be better this time. It's not better.
It's not.
It has never been better in almost 5 years. Get off the apps, get off your phone, look up. I used to say that on my other TikTok page all the time. I use the hashtag look up. Stop looking at your phones. You could be sitting next to a perfect partner could be next to you picking bananas, for God's sake, or at the gym, or at a bar, or at a park. Go to a dog park. There are a million ways they still exist.
Yeah, or Home Depot. That's the big thing on TikTok right now.
Yeah, I've seen that also. Yes. Go hang out where the men hang out. I'm told pickleball is a great place to meet men. I don't know if it's true. I've never played pickleball, but like nothing has really changed since the 80s or 90s. All of those avenues are still wide open. Take advantage of them. Maybe if people stop using the dating apps, they'll go away.
Yeah, maybe. And by the way, I don't think pickleball was named by accident.
Yeah, probably not. It is a witty title.
All right. Should we get to an email?
Yes, let's do that.
You've got mail.
Thank you, Brian, or God. All right. So here's what we have
You're
today.
welcome, Pam. If only it was that easy. Every time you say, hey, thanks, God, you're welcome, Brian.
If only I got everything I wanted. I'm going to just talk to Brian.
And if God would talk to me, I would be less of an agnostic.
Yes, me as well. All right. Well, on to this letter. Pam and Tom. I received an invite to my 20-year high school reunion. I have some great friends I haven't seen since moving out of state, and I am so excited to go. All of my friends are bringing guests, and I asked my boyfriend of 2 years to come with me. That's what I would do. He doesn't want to come, though, because my ex-boyfriend from high school is also attending with his wife.
Holy shit.
Well, you knew it was a petty one. My high school boyfriend and I have not spoken since we broke up, but we had, as kids, talked about getting married. Don't we all do that? Like, I think that I talked about getting married when I was 18 also. We all do that. I think my boyfriend is being ridiculous since my ex is certainly no threat to him or to us. We've been fighting about this for weeks. Am I crazy for thinking this should not matter to him? And should he come because I want him to? And sign Melissa from Boston.
Oh my hell. So, okay, I'm going to jump in. Melissa. Well, first, I don't even know where to start, but so they've been together for 2 weeks and 2 years, and they've been fighting about this for weeks.
Yes.
That's the first part.
She's determined to get him to this high school reunion. I wouldn't want to go alone either.
Well, okay. I mean, okay, you don't want to go to your high school reunion alone, I think, but do you want to go with an insecure pussy?
I guess that depends on the rest of the relationship. Um, Tom, you're so blatant. I don't find myself attracted to insecure pussies as a rule. But let's say that somehow in his head he has imagined a scenario where these two people would have been together if things had worked out differently. And so he is insecure, clearly.
Yes,
I mean,
very
like,
much.
it has been 20 years. 20 years. That's a long time. And unless she's lying to us, she has had no contact with this man. He is married. I'm going to go ahead and guess she's divorced because it's been 20 years, but maybe not. Maybe this is her first relationship or she's just in a relationship. But no matter how I look at this email, and I read it a few times, there's no world in which it's okay for him to not come unless he was physically unable to make it.
Yeah, but her question that I thought was really interesting. I was totally on her side, by the way. The
Okay.
whole email. I was just reading through this thing going, "Oh yeah, this guy's a piece of shit." Until the very last sentence. Should and let's see. He should come because I want him to.
Yes, that is what
That-
she wrote.
That's a little, I don't know. That's a little, to me, that felt a little controlling. Now, again, he's a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. He should go.
Okay.
But but it made me question, does he just not want to go? Is he not a people person? Is he like an introvert to the point where, like, I don't want to go meet a bunch of strangers, because it's not going to be fun for him if he's an introvert.
No, and high school reunions are never really fun
Oh,
for the
they're stupid.
significant others. I feel like, you're kind of just standing there being introduced to a bunch of people. You're not going to remember their names. You're probably never going to see them again. The only reason to go to a high school reunion with your significant other is for them. So her wanting him to go, I feel, should be enough reason for him to go. It sounds to me like the only reason he doesn't want to go is because he's insecure about her ex-boyfriend.
Well, is that an excuse though? That's what I'm wondering.
No, I don't think it's an excuse. I think that he is using that as an excuse. I can't imagine a world where I'm in a relationship with somebody and that's the actual reason why he doesn't want to go. Like, maybe he has something he'd rather do that weekend, but he knows that that would be a shitty reason to not go. I don't know what his ultimate reason for not going is, but I know what I think should happen in this scenario.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm putting air quotes around this for those who are just listening. I had a girlfriend in first grade named Amy, and we talked about getting married.
I can't believe you remember her name.
Oh, she grew up a block away, so we grew up playing together. So she was my girlfriend though, and we were going to get married. So where's the cutoff? If Melissa had somebody in first grade that she said she was going to get married to, would her boyfriend be jealous about that? I mean,
I think if we're gonna say that is 100% the actual reason that he doesn't want to go, I think that there's probably a limit to his insecurities. I, for example, did have a boyfriend through high school, a very serious boyfriend who I really did think that I was going to marry him, and we broke up. And about 10 years later, do you remember MySpace when MySpace was around?
sure.
He slid into my DMs over on MySpace and said, "I don't know if you remember me." Oh, I don't even think
Sorry,
that
I
was
had
the
to. I had to. You said slid into the DMs. That was my
slid
cue.
into my DMs. And
His fingers on the button.
right, we struck up a conversation, and we did have some communication, and we talked about where we had been and what had been going on in our lives. I later on did confess that to my husband at the time because I felt like that was not something that I wanted to keep to myself because it had been a serious relationship. And so I shared that with my husband, that I had been in communication with my ex. Nothing happened. No lines were crossed. It still caused a hell of a fight and a problem. And I felt terrible about it and wondered if I should have not done that. And so when I read this email and chose it, it probably had something to do with not wanting to go to a high school reunion because an ex-boyfriend would be there. And in my situation, I would have probably 100% understood my ex-husband not wanting to go to that reunion, knowing that we had been in communication again. But would I have still wanted him to go because he trusted me and knew nothing happened? Absolutely. I would have still wanted him to go. And in this situation, I think he should go. Unless there's more to the story, unless she has unresolved feelings that he knows about, there's no excuse to not accompany her.
So I wonder, you just said something. I hadn't thought of it prior, but petty people or jealous people tend to project. So I wonder, and I'm not making accusations, and I'm not trying to read anything into it, but I wonder if he's got some feelings for his high school sweetheart, or if he's been in contact, and so he doesn't want to have Melissa say, well, let's go to your high school reunion, and then all of a sudden he's outed.
Well, I never thought of that. And, I always let people know when their episodes are going to air. I hope that she would listen to this. And if there's even a possibility that that's the case, that's a conversation that they need to have. Because I'm sure he's going to say he has no intention of going to his high school reunion, because I can't see a world where he goes without her. So he would want her to go with him as well. So he has no intention of going to his high school reunion for whatever the reason. And
Right.
At the end of the day, this is really about them and about, we all have our needs and we all have things that we want our significant other to do. And if there's a valid reason to not do it, then you have a discussion, you compromise, you agree to disagree, whatever. This is not that. They have not compromised. She's written to us because she's upset. She wants him to change his mind. And I think that he should change his mind. I don't know that I think that it's a relationship breaker, but it's a sure sign of things to come.
Well, I think it's interesting that you said compromise and then immediately said he should do what she wants.
Well, unless there's a better, okay. Well, yeah.
There's
yes,
no
I think the
compromise.
compromise is him going.
Yeah, the compromise is, there is no, it's either he gets his way or she gets his, or he gets her his, you know what I mean?
Right.
There
Yes,
is
I got you.
no gray area on this one.
Yes, you're right. And, Melissa, I say, sit him down, let him know how important it is to you, and then decide if it's a big enough deal to keep fighting about it, because these things, they tend to repeat themselves. And if this is a situation that anytime she wants to do something, he's going to say, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to go to the movies. I want to go to dinner. I'd like to get together with these friends. You don't want to set yourself up to be in a relationship where somebody can just say, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And I agree with that, with a small change. And that is, you've been with this guy for 2 years. He doesn't give a shit about your friends that you haven't seen in 20 years. So why do you care so much that you're willing to fight over it for weeks, is what you've said, and write a letter to us about it? So, he doesn't give a shit. So why are you trying to force him to care about them? I know you think it's about you.
Well, I don't think he's trying to get her to, I don't think she's trying to get him to care. I don't think she cares if he cares. I think she just wants him to be her date at her high school reunion. She wants him to go for her.
Okay. I understand that. Like I said, I think she thinks it's all about her. Maybe he thinks it's all about, I don't know. I just think that there's something else going on, because maybe it's financial. Maybe he just doesn't want to spend $700 on a plane ticket to do something he knows he's not going to enjoy.
Well, I would just say, elephant in the room, it's probably because high school reunions just suck.
Yes.
Right. I mean, as a rule, I haven't gone to any of my high school reunions, but maybe she was prom queen. Maybe she really wants to revisit that, her youth, or see people. She said she has friends that she went to high school with and she would like to see them again. I don't think there's anything wrong with going to your high school reunion. I haven't done it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with going. And I would definitely want my partner to come with me.
Well, but what if he said, hey, by the way, a bunch of buddies from high school and I are getting together in a month, and we're going to go camping and fishing for a weekend, and I want you to come. And she said, well, I don't like camping and fishing. Should she go?
Tom, these are apples and oranges. You just asked her to go out into the wilderness.
He wants to go.
Going to a hotel.
what if the reunion is his wilderness? Maybe he's
Yeah.
a socially awkward person.
This is what happens when you have two men arguing with one woman.
Well, it's about fairness. I mean, it's like you said it's about her. It's not about his friends or the reunion. It's about she wants a date and he wants a date on that camping trip.
Okay, but there is no camping trip because it's hypothetical, and
I
there
know.
is an actual reunion that she
I-
wants him to go to. Tom, let me ask you this. If you were dating somebody for 2 years and it was really important to her that you go to her high school reunion, maybe I would never want to just go to the reunion. I would say, like, go for the weekend. I grew up in Miami, so that's a hopping place to go for the weekend. But
Sure.
like, would you be opposed to going if there was no legitimate reason to not go?
No, but I would sit her down and say, I don't want to go. I won't meet. I don't know these people. I will never see these people again. We're talking about the reunion because
Right.
remember I don't know these people. You're not going to see these people again till your 40th anniversary or whatever it is, or reunion. So I don't give a shit about these people, but if you think it's important for me to be there, I'll go and I will be a good sport and I will put on my happy face and I'll, and I do that. I'm going to do that at the trade show next week. So, I mean, I know that I can put on my happy face.
And maybe your future girlfriend will go camping with you just because you want to go.
Mhm.
You just don't know. That was hypothetical. But in this case, I feel pretty strongly that your response just now was the appropriate response. Otherwise, at this point, I would probably tell her to go by herself. I think she would have a lot more fun by
Mhm.
herself. And I don't know whether she's even looked at that as an option, but like,
Right.
if it's about the ex, like, let him sweat it out that you're there by yourself and
Yeah.
that you guys are going to be talking. Like, she wants you there. You have nothing to be insecure about.
Yeah. Send him pics of the two of you together.
Yeah, well, do something. I don't know. I don't know how this relationship is going to pan out. I
Yeah.
just feel like,
Good luck.
all of these things happening before you've even married somebody is kind of a glaring difference. So those are the kind of things that we learn before we marry somebody, and maybe we don't go down that path if it's going to be a constant tug of war. So, do we have any other wisdom to impart on Melissa?
No, I would go alone.
Okay. Yes. I've landed on you should go alone too. It's really not worth it. And then really think about the relationship and make
Yep.
sure that this isn't going to be a constant thing. And with
Agreed.
that said, thank you so much for sending us your email, Melissa. We appreciate it. We love getting emails, you guys. Believe it or not, a lot of times we do think of something that we both agree on and we just stick with it, and we're very pro whatever the problem is. So don't be scared of us and don't be scared to send us your emails. We enjoy reading them. We enjoy giving you advice. So send them on in. And in case you don't know our email after 8 episodes, it is talkingphase@gmail.com. Phase with a PH, talkingphase@gmail.com. We do love hearing from you. Tom loves reading all of the emails. Sometimes he does say, let's use this one, and I'm a pushover, so we go with what he chooses. So he does read the better ones. So please send them in. If you have any questions or topics, again, talkingphase@gmail.com.
Thank you guys. And thank you, Pam, for taking care of all of our email and everybody
love
who's
it.
listening. Please, if you enjoy what we're doing, the best thing you can do to help us out is take just a minute, whatever app or platform you're listening to us on right now, take a minute to give us a review, a 5-star review or a 5-star rating, please. And then if you can, just write a quick review. What do you think? Are dating apps the devil incarnate? Should Melissa give her guy a break, or is he just a dick? Just
go make up your mind.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Just throw it in the comments there. As far as this show is concerned, we put a new episode out every Friday morning, right around 8 a.m. For those who don't understand how the podcast world works, we put it on one platform and it pushes it out to all of the apps that you're using. Sometimes it happens right at 8 a.m. Sometimes it takes another half an hour.
Because Tom forgets.
Yeah, and sometimes Tom forgets. But if I do it right around 8 a.m., give or take a few minutes. So
it'll get there. It's going to be there eventually.
Yes. Every Friday, we put one of these things out. Be sure to follow us on whatever app you're listening, of course, but also on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. We have wonderful pages that Pam manages. And with that, this is, until next Friday, this is Pam and Tom signing off.
Have a great day, night, weekend, year.